They've been met with fear and trepidation. They've been scorned and treated like outcasts. I'm of course referring to electric bikes. Now, many people treat them like the monster in the closet of the cycling industry, but that's not fair, and neither is it the case. And I'm here today to tell you that these electric bikes are just all about maximising the amount of fun you can have on two wheels. Consider this video an ode to a type of cycling that I've fallen head over heels in love with: electric gravel biking. Now, to help demonstrate what I mean today, I've brought this, the Cannondale Topstone Neo Carbon Lefty Free with me. At £5,000, it is the perfect example of the latest cutting-edge e-bike technology. In my mind, there are 5 key reasons why your next gravel bike should be an electric bike. And to show you exactly what I mean, I'm going to hit the trails and show you just what this bike is capable of. For me, gravel riding is all about riding as many great trails as possible. It's maximising your time outdoors away from traffic. Now, I live in London, which means there's often quite a bit of road riding and quite a lot of traffic. So pair that tarmac with the wide tyres of an analogue gravel bike, and you end up with something of a slog to get to anything that's actually half decent to ride. And maybe 20 or 30 kilometres of a ride can be made up of just riding on the roads. So if you get yourself an electric bike, it becomes much less arduous and much easier to skip ahead to the good bits. By giving yourself a bit of assistance from a motor, it takes all of the legwork out of riding on the tarmac, and instead allows you to focus on what you've actually set out to do, which is ride on the trails. Now, it's not about being lazy or unfit, because the same can also be said for those who have gravel riding and trails right on their doorstep. It's about maximising your time on the bike. It might be that they want to pop out on the gravel bike at a lunchtime, but there's just a few too many climbs that make it too difficult to get back in time for an afternoon at the desk. Or it might be that they can pop out for a ride at lunchtime, but they want to squeeze in a few extra kilometres, and being able to get up the climbs quicker just means that that's possible, and you can extend your rides and therefore get fitter. A motor and a battery make all of that entirely possible, and for that reason I think they're absolutely brilliant. In fact, if I know I'm going to be riding my e-bike, I'll actually change the way that I plan my rides altogether. So when I'm planning on commute, I'll actually take a look at what climbs are maybe that bit steeper or that bit more technical, and they label the trails that are harder. I'll look for those because I know that I'm going to have that additional extra assistance from the bike. Now, Komoot has even updated its app to now feature an e-bike box, and you tick that and it will change the difficulty and the length of your ride, taking into account you're going to have a bit of extra assistance. And this includes trails. It will actually pick trails that it thinks will be more fun and more suitable to your electric bike. It's really smart. In fact, if you have the Bosch Kiox, which is an additional out-front computer for Bosch equipped e-bikes like my Cannondale here, you can actually get Komoot baked into the software of that device, so it can show you your routes whilst you're on the go. Back in the olden days, e-bikes simply felt like motors and batteries had been bodged onto a standard bike frame, and they were guilty of having technical issues and, in many cases, a poor ride quality. However, nowadays, things couldn't be more different from that, and this Cannondale Topstone Neo Carbon Lefty Free is the perfect example of what I mean. Starts with the bike's beating heart, which in this case is that Bosch Performance Line CX motor. Now, these motors have done their time. They've been grafted on and the hard yards have been put in by our trail riding friends, our mountain biking cousins. And now we have what is
simply a very refined system ready for us gravel bikers to use. It puts out 250 watts of support. However, the bit that will really leave you grinning is the fact it puts out up to 85 Newton meters of torque. However, this is applied across 4 different modes, meaning you'll always have the option to have a gentle spin if you want, or something a bit more spirited. Gravel e-bike frames themselves have come a long way since the early days of this discipline. This Topstone Neo, for example, is a full carbon build. It uses Cannondale's ballistic carbon fibre, which is built up and reinforced in all the right areas to help it carry the additional weight of the battery and motor. They're also becoming very capable trail riding bikes in their own right, and this Topstone carries 2 more examples of that. It has their new Lefty Oliver fork at the front, which is an air-sprung fork offering 30 mils of compression. The bike also has Cannondale's Kingpin suspension on the rear, which offers 30 mils of travel. This is, in fact, a full suspension bike, and for that reason it is very capable when the trail gets rowdy. So I think I've made my point. E-gravel bikes are versatile and incredibly technically refined. The perfect ingredients if you want to have a good time out on the trails. I, like many riders, really enjoy climbing. It's obviously a really good way to keep fit, and it's part of the reason that we all ride bicycles. However, when you're riding off-road, when it becomes too technical, it just becomes too difficult and the fun stops. Nobody goes out on a bike ride to do a hiker bike. That's not the case with electric bikes. With up to 4 different modes of assistance, technical climbs become not just a breeze, but really good fun. When you're riding up steep gradients, you don't have to smash yourself and max out your heart rate. Instead, the motor allows you to finesse your lines and pick where you want to go on the climb, rather than just smash up it and destroy yourself. Now, I've come to one of the steeper climbs in my area that I often come riding in, and I'm going to show you what we're dealing with and how we're going to tackle it. Come with me. It's like cribs, isn't it? Welcome to my crib. This is my technical climb challenge that I'm going to show you today. First off, the gradient starts pitching up. We're maybe going to hit around 15% on this climb. That's not the only issue though. You've got all of these loose rocks. It's been very wet lately. It's very, very slippy and loose. The challenge on this early section is keeping the front end down and maintaining the trajectory on your bike. Now we'll come further up and you can see the boulder field scatters wider. There's more rocks everywhere. You're going to have to either pick a right-hand side or the left-hand side. I think the right-hand side's the winner here. Then we cross this trail, look left and right. No oncoming trains. The trail narrows and you're faced with a step up into a rooty section. Now, on a normal gravel bike, there's absolutely no way I get to this, having just ridden this sort of 15% gradient. On that e-bike though, I reckon I can get up here, clear this step up, get over the next slippy root section and carry on to the very crest. Let's give it a go. Keep the line, hold the line. It's trying to keep the front end down, it's difficult here. Right hand side for the win. Now we're going to have to pivot across. Good. Bit of extra cadence flips. No! I can manage that. Onto the climb. Chin up, let the motor do the talking. Hold this right hand side and into the bush. Stay seated. A couple more extra blips. Ah. And don't let anybody say it makes it easy. It doesn't make it easy. Hold it and then sit down, use the motor blip your way. Flip your way up. Like so. Woo. Okay, actually took me about 10 tries to do that. But I did it. And I did it because of a motor on this bike. If I'd been riding an analog gravel bike, there's no way I'd have gotten up that. But actually what the e-bike let me do was create a challenge. So I tried lots and lots of different lines on that section, especially that rooty section. And I learned how to weight my bike, how to manage the input control of this bike. I learned that turbo and sport was too much. They were too powerful. So instead I blipped it down to tour, which is second highest support setting, and used that as a way to manage the output to let me get the balance between my own riding and the bikes on that section. And then once you've done that, you know you have the support, so you can just focus on what line you want to take through the climb. And I did it. And I wouldn't have been able to do that on my normal gravel bike, not a chance. So that was a lot of fun, and it's not easy. You know, I'm pretty out of breath, my heart rate's really high. You're managing a lot of stuff. It takes a lot of focus and attention and fitness to get a bike like this up and over stuff. You're dealing with an extra weight. So, just an absolute blast. What a giggle. It's at this point that people say, electric gravel bikes, they'll make you less fit. Now that is definitely a myth. You can get as hard a workout on one of these e-assisted bikes as you can on an analog one. But it's not just about getting your heart rate high. It's also about being able to put in additional kilometers and additional climbs that you wouldn't necessarily be able to do if you're just using a standard gravel bike. And I'll take all of that into account when I'm planning my routes. If I know I'm riding an electric bike, that impossible climb that I wouldn't usually touch, that's going in my loop. The extended loop that I love because it takes in my favourite view, you can guarantee that's going in as well. Electric gravel bikes simply open up more opportunities. They'll let you ride more kilometres of your favourite trails, and that definitely shouldn't be sniffed at. The season in which electric bikes absolutely shine through is winter. You know the feeling, the ground is soft, it's hard work underneath your tyres, and your ride has ground to a steady and hard sludge in the soft, muddy ground. Well, not so with an electric bike. The added assistance will have you picking up the pace once more and having an absolute blast whilst you're doing so. Waterlogged and boggy ground becomes a hilarious slip and slide aboard one of these bikes, and it makes winter a truly hilarious time to go out bike riding, and if anything, it actually makes me want to get out the front door even more. So there you go, 5 key reasons why I think that your next gravel bike should be electric. Thanks very much for indulging me in my ode to this type of cycling that I've fallen head over heels in love with. Now, if you head over to the Cycling Weekly YouTube channel, you'll find tons of more electric bike content and gravel bike content for you to watch. In the meantime, we'll be out making some more great content, so do be sure to keep your eyes open for that coming in the near future. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you soon.